of caution is being issued now by emergency management. Stock up on 3 days worth of food, fuel, and
solar eclipse that will darken the skies for millions of people. Guess what? Could it impact the power grid?
Could potentially swell by nearly 10 times its population. Schools along the path have already canceled in-person learning on April 8th.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signing an executive order to assure state agencies will be prepared.
On April 8, 2024, a total solar eclipse will cover the skies, leaving millions of people in the dark. It's an extraordinary astronomical event, and for many, even a prophetic sign, which is surprising a lot of people. We all agree that this is no ordinary eclipse. The sun will completely disappear in the middle of the day, plunging states like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, and more into total darkness. The path of this phenomenon will traverse 15 states from Texas to Maine. But there's more to this event that is making people nervous and alert. Let's start with the FEMA warnings. Rumors have circulated that FEMA advised people in areas directly affected by the eclipse to have 3 days' worth of food and water supplies ready. But why? A cautionary warning is now being issued by emergency management. Stock up with 3 days' worth of food, fuel, and water. Some think this is due to possible power outages, and the news even mentioned this as a possibility. A total solar eclipse that will darken the skies for millions of people. Guess what? That could affect the power grid. Additionally, there are reports that a large number of people are expected in these areas to view the eclipse, which could potentially increase their population by nearly 10 times. Some schools along the path have already canceled in-person classes on April 8th. Imagine cities filled with 10 times more people than usual. If that happens, FEMA is likely concerned that with so many people around, there might be a shortage of supplies. While others think this is a false signal for something much bigger. Maybe it's because of the next warning sign people have been talking about. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has signed an executive order to ensure state agencies are prepared. The National Guard has declared its presence during this celestial event, which also raises many questions. Is it just a precaution to manage the expected crowds, or could it suggest a more covert operation lurking? Are we being kept in the dark about something beyond the total solar eclipse? Let's add a no-fly zone order to the mix. There have also been murmurs saying no planes or commercial flights can pass through that zone during eclipse hours. Again, why? This issue has sparked a huge online debate, especially among the religious community, saying this eclipse is a direct sign from the Bible and that people should be very attentive to what is to come in the next few days, and we are 26 days away from this incredible event. So, what's your take? Is this just a cool event drawing large crowds and the government is trying to keep everything under control? Or do you believe there's a bigger plot at play? Could this be a false signal that prompts us to prepare our troops, a biblical prophecy coming to light? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. On April 8, 2024, prepare for an extraordinary celestial event. We are about to witness a solar eclipse, but it's not just any solar eclipse. This will be an extremely rare total solar eclipse with intriguing connections to the 2024 election predictions impacting the United States and Israel. Some even speculate that this could signal the end times. In today's video, I'll explain the true meaning behind this solar eclipse and reveal its implications. Believe me, you won't want to miss the shocking conclusion of this video. In various parts of the Bible, we find connections between end-time events and celestial phenomena. Many verses mention the sun, moon, stars, and even eclipses in relation to prophecies about the last days. For example, in Luke 21:25, Jesus speaks of signs in the sun, moon, and stars when discussing the timing of the last days. As a result, when people observe unusual or rare astronomical events, they often begin to ponder whether the last days are approaching. To truly understand the meaning behind a sign like a solar or lunar eclipse, it's crucial to reflect on history, explore biblical references to similar events, observe ongoing global events, and carefully analyze circumstances. By combining these elements, we can discern whether there is a genuine warning or if it's part of a larger unfolding biblical prophecy. As wisely stated in Ecclesiastes 1:9, what has been will be again, what has been done will be done again, there is nothing new under the sun. This simply means that history tends to repeat itself. Here's where things get shocking. God's character remains constant, unchanged from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. This means that God continues to communicate as he always has and deal with sin and nations as he has throughout history and the Bible. Recurring patterns emerge, especially regarding idolatry and a nation's sin, which God consistently confronts. Every significant prophet in the Bible who addressed Israel's idolatry and sin was accompanied by specific signs and warnings, indicating what would happen next. Reflecting on Revelation chapter 6, we find the symbolism of the four horsemen, representing God's judgment on the nations. First comes a figure representing conquest or leadership, leading to division and global turmoil. Next comes war, causing conflicts and disturbing peace. Subsequently, famine follows, bringing economic hardships and agricultural struggles. Finally, death arrives, spreading plague and disease. While these events unfold on a global scale, they also echo recurring patterns seen throughout history in the Bible. These signs often arise in response to a nation's sins and idolatry, illustrating the cyclical nature of divine intervention over time. For example, God appointed Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian conqueror, to bring judgment not only upon Israel but also upon neighboring nations like Egypt, Assyria, Moab, and even the Philistines and Phoenicians in the Gaza Strip region. Before the sieges, the prophet Jeremiah mentioned a severe plague and famine that devastated the land for years, weakening the nations for Babylon's advance. But those who surrendered to the king of Babylon would live, escaping with their lives as a reward. Looking at recent events starting from 2020, we witnessed all four signs: plague, famine, economic hardships, and widespread civil unrest, including protests and demonstrations, and finally the specter of war with Russia. These events not only impacted America but the entire world. These events serve as powerful reminders of prevalent sin and idolatry in nations and signal God's judgment upon the earth. While this doesn't necessarily mean these are the last days, the signs are undeniable and suggest significant changes are looming. If these are indeed signs of judgment, there must be reasons behind them. There must have been warnings or indications prior to these judgments, for God never acts without first revealing his intentions to his prophets. Now let's delve into the meaning of the sun and the moon in prophetic signs. Did you know that, in biblical prophecy, the moon consistently represents Israel, while the sun symbolizes the Gentile nations? Well, you'll want to pay close attention, as things are about to get much more interesting. The book of Genesis reveals that the sun, moon, and stars were not created until the fourth day. Before that, light already existed on the earth, along with vegetation like trees and flowers, which were created on the third day. It's worth noting that trees and plants rely on sunlight and rain, but the sun itself was only brought into existence on the fourth day. How is that possible? This shows us the crucial role of the sun and the moon in sustaining Earth's climate and ecosystems. Without them, there would be no ocean currents, hence no weather and consequently no rain. In ancient times, rain was not a common occurrence until the days of Noah's flood. Genesis 2:5 sheds light on this, explaining that there were still no shrubs or plants because God had not yet sent rain, instead relying on streams that sprang up from the earth to water the soil. So why did God create plants on the third day before the sun, moon, or even rain existed? It turns out the sun and the moon had an entirely different role together. Genesis 1:14-19 describes how God created these celestial bodies to separate day from night and serve as markers for sacred times, festivals, and seasons. They were meant to govern the passing of days, years, and the timing of significant events. These celestial signs have particular significance in biblical prophecies, especially concerning the last days. Joel 2:30-31 speaks of wonders in the heavens and on earth, including the darkening of the sun and the turning of the moon to blood, signaling the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. This imagery symbolizes imminent upheavals, with the blood representing war and judgment, while smoke and fire signify volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. But these celestial events are prophetic indicators, as Jesus himself predicted earthquakes, volcanoes, wars, and other disturbances as precursors to significant events. Did you know that the blood moon tetrad from 2014 to 2015 had a connection to Israel? Well, here's where things take a turn. During that period, there were 4 total lunar eclipses, also known as blood moons, occurring rapidly in succession, precisely coinciding with 4 significant Jewish festivals, forming what they called the blood moon tetrad. However, many struggled to grasp the meaning of this particular sign, and its significance remains unknown to this day. The number 4 often symbolizes the universal authority of God's word. Symbolically, the moon represents God's protection and oversight of the nation and people of Israel. The reddish hue of the eclipse was seen as a harbinger of imminent bloodshed, a sign of impending judgment. Given that the eclipses spanned a period of 2 years, the number 2, biblically associated with division, was interpreted as a warning regarding the potential division of the land of Israel. The Bible speaks of a crucial event that triggers the 7-year tribulation period and the judgment of nations. It describes a time when God will gather all nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat for judgment, specifically for their unjust treatment of Israel, including the dispersal of the people and the division of the land. We are witnessing nations dividing the land of Israel, a situation hinted at in the book of Joel. The Bible even points to specific nations responsible for this division, namely Tyre and Sidon. What you are about to see next is quite shocking. Sidon and Tyre were regions inhabited by the Phoenicians, known for their expertise in trade. The prophet Ezekiel, in Ezekiel 28, mentions the king of Tyre as a precursor to the Antichrist. Following the Greek and Roman conquests of Tyre and Sidon, the Phoenicians migrated to Greece and Rome. Interestingly, the entire European continent was named by the Phoenicians after the daughter of the famous Phoenician king of Tyre, Europa. Today, the European Union, the United Nations, and even America are linked to the ancient regions of Tyre and Sidon, once inhabited by the Phoenicians. These modern nations are expected to play a role in the formation and promotion of the 7-year peace treaty, as prophesied in the Bible, which will be confirmed by the Antichrist. It is crucial to understand the significance of this and what it means for the future. Now, in 2017, 2 significant and unusual events occurred in America. First, on August 21, 2017, there was a notable event known as the Great American Solar Eclipse. It was visible across the nation, from the west coast to the east coast of the United States. However, it's essential to know that an eclipse alone doesn't have much significance unless accompanied by other events that align with biblical and Israelite contexts. The following month, on September 23, 2017, another exceptionally rare event involving the alignment of stars and constellations occurred, known as the sign of Revelation 12. On this date, the constellations of Virgo and Leo, along with Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, the Sun, and the Moon, uniquely aligned, resembling the depiction of Revelation 12 in the Bible. Did you know that this alignment occurred only twice in history? Well, here's where things get even more shocking. Keep your eyes on these constellations as they will be significant again in relation to the 2024 eclipse. Revelation 12 warns us of the conflict between the Antichrist, known as the Beast, and the saints, as well as the rebirth of Israel and Jerusalem as a nation. Both of these signs together served as a severe warning to the United States about Israel, specifically regarding the division of the land. 3.5 years later, symbolizing how this division may occur with the Antichrist, from August 2017 to January 28, 2020, President Donald Trump proposed a centennial agreement called Peace to Prosperity. He advocated for a 2-state solution, granting 70% of the land of Israel, including the eastern half of Jerusalem, to the Palestinians, the ancient Philistines, historical enemies of Israel, for the creation of a Palestinian state. 3 months later, the pandemic emerged, causing widespread devastation worldwide. This was followed by major economic hardships, civil unrest, conflicts with Russia, and the loss of leadership both for Netanyahu and Trump in 2020. Surprisingly, instead of witnessing the signs of the 4 horsemen as expected, we saw their signs occurring in reverse order. Furthermore, as a consequence of these events, we have observed the emergence of alliances like Gog and Magog, primarily through OPEC oil nations aligning with BRICS alliances, including China. These alliances are effectively challenging the dominance of the American dollar in trade, leading to significant inflation and the imminent collapse of the banking system in the U.S. Shockingly, all these events were prophesied in the Bible regarding Israel in the last days. Looking to the future, on April 8, 2024, 7 years after the initial eclipse of August 2017, another eclipse is predicted to occur. This time it will not only be visible across the United States, but its path of totality will form a significant X shape across the country. However, unlike the 2017 eclipse, unlike the sign of Revelation 12, this eclipse will only cover the eastern half of the nation and will occur 7 months before the 2024 presidential elections. Interestingly, just like the sign of Revelation 12, the constellation of Leo symbolizing Judah and Jerusalem will align with the solar eclipse on April 8, 2024. This constellation is associated with the Lion of Judah, representing Jesus. So, what does all this mean in biblical prophecy? The number 7 often symbolizes completion, indicating the end of a cycle. In this context, it refers to the conclusion of the 70 weeks of Israel's judgment represented by cycles of 7 years. This eclipse is not necessarily a warning about future events, but rather a reflection of past occurrences connected to the future. The X shape formed by the eclipse resembles the Hebrew letter Tav, which symbolizes a sign or seal. This letter is significant as it is used only twice in the Bible, including in Ezekiel 9, where it represents a protective seal placed upon those who mourned for the sins of the first Jewish temple before its destruction by Babylon. And similarly, echoes the marking of the doorposts during the first Passover in Exodus, foreshadowing the mark of the beast and the seal of protection upon the 144,000 witnesses during the 7-year tribulation period. Therefore, the Tav seal over the United States signifies both protection and judgment, especially concerning the division of the land of Israel. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep up with more content like this, be a part of our community. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share with your friends and family. Your participation is crucial for us to reach more people and continue producing quality content. Don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Join us, leave a like to show your support, and help us expand our community. Thank you for watching and for your continuous support.